wedding?
I don't know.
Use your pillow to squeeze. All right. Hello, friends, and welcome back to Briar, Mom, and Nerd. I'm Nerd.
And I'm Mom.
So we just finished season 5 of Game of Thrones.
Yeah, I'm a little emotional.
Yes.
We literally just got done.
Yep. I think I'm kind of hoping to get to season 6, episode 1 at the very least tonight. So we
As
wanted
a palate cleanser.
as a palate cleanser, because that's why we're doing this so fast. Because of the ending, the last 2 minutes of this show, of the last episode is, we'll get to it at the end, I think. Let's go to good stuff though. Your favorites, Daenerys.
Okay, I gotta put myself in serious mode. In better mode.
Better mode.
I got to see Daenerys and Tyrion meet up, which I've been waiting for a long time for those
You've been
two
waiting pretty much season 1, right?
those two, those two, and they had the plan for Tyrion to help her get to the throne, which I think one of my predictions was, I would love if they got to the throne together and just got to this thing together, so
yeah,
that would be great.
I think your, fantasy ending, fantasy football end kind of situation was, her on the throne with him as the hand of the queen.
Yeah.
And, Jon Snow, the Warden of the North.
Yeah. Well, because I figured they could be drinking buddies.
Yeah. They'd be great drinking buddies. Oh, and then Joran.
Yeah, that he would maybe even be married to.
Yeah, as the king.
They love each other. I don't care what she says.
They do. I mean, he's back now.
He is. So we watched him get exiled. But then so we saw Tyrion get crated off in that crate. We saw him get opened up out of that crate.
Just kind of flopped out.
And then him and the spider are going on a journey to see, when the spider releases his idea for him to get to Daenerys, I'm like, woo, that's great, that's perfect, because he's like, you're the perfect person to usher this person to the Iron Throne, and he's like, what man would that be? And he's like, I didn't say a man, and that's when I was like, oh my gosh!
Yes, you were really excited with that line.
I was so excited when he said that line, I was so excited.
I know.
But then Tyrion got kidnapped
by
Joran to go see the queen.
Which I love. I love when Tyrion finds out that that's the queen that he's being taken to.
And not his sister.
Because he's like, oh, well, that was a waste. I love
waste
that
of
line.
a good kidnapping.
That was such a good line. That was a waste of a good kidnapping. I was already on my way to see her.
I know. And this whole trip they're having, in the back of my mind, I was actually concerned for the spider. Where is he? Is he concerned for Tyrion?
I mean, Spider is...
Poor guy just was left.
They never went back to him at all.
No, he just appears towards the end.
Yeah.
And he's just like, oh, hey.
Looks
I found you because I have all these spies everywhere.
He's like, thanks for dishing me.
I know. I'm like, well, I've been concerned about you this whole time, and they just ignore you this whole time.
I love that you were concerned too, because that was the one character that you're like, I don't trust him with anything.
I didn't, but somehow he like switched in my mind, and I completely trusted him with Tyrion.
Because him and Tyrion are like, they're the only friends of each other, honestly.
And now with like Littlefinger, I'm like, that guy just needs to be ran through, because he is like playing all the sides everywhere. Like, he's playing the sides with the Boltons, he's playing with the Lannisters, he's playing with Starks, he's playing with like, and I'm like, dude, you're burning the candle at all the ends. Each end and the middle. Like, everything is going to explode in your face because you are a freaking idiot, and you need to just be ran through, because you need to be put out of your misery.
Though he's also kind of the luckiest guy, though.
Anytime
he gets in trouble, like, he weasels his way out of it.
And somehow gets promoted.
Yeah. I know, he's gone from, like, Master of Coins to, like, owning a castle to now he's gonna be the Warden of the North.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah, he was just, like, the Master of Coin and a brothel operator to a lord and a castle guy, and now he's like talked his way into being the Warden of the North as soon as Stannis Baratheon is defeated, and I'm like, how does he do that? Like, poor Tyrion doesn't even do a crime, and they're gonna kill him.
You know.
And Littlefinger does all the crimes.
And they're like, here, own the world.
They're like, here, let's keep stacking things on top of you. And I'm like, this is not good.
I know. That's why I love him as a character, because he's very much like
He's the Dolph Ziggler of the show.
Ziggler,
he is so lucky.
Less of the Dolph Ziggler of the show. I'm thinking more of Steve Buscemi a la Reservoir Dogs.
Oh, yeah, hiding under the stairs.
He's... Spoiler alert, if you haven't seen Reservoir Dogs.
If you haven't seen Reservoir Dogs, what have you been doing?
Yeah, stop watching this and go watch that, because, But yes, he's the Steve Buscemi Reservoir Dogs.
It's crazy.
Yeah.
What else did we see? There was, like, a lot of this season centered around Tyrion getting to Daenerys. It centered a lot around Daenerys also trying to keep control in Marine. Mm-hmm. And then the other aspect it centered a lot around was, like, Stannis trying to march in and take over Winterfell, while Cersei is just being an evil person.
Yeah.
I mean, that's basically what we were going around.
We also got the Crusades started in this season.
Yeah, kind of. That's what you could call it, because they're like the Faith Keepers or something like that.
Yeah. And they're like going around killing people
for sins, and like they found the priest in the brothel.
Yep.
And I don't know what kind of weird role play, God, Seven Virgins role playing thing they were doing. Yeah, I was really like, what is happening here?
It's a wild scene.
I can't even insert a photo of that here, because I will get in trouble.
It would all be blurred. You could probably show a picture of, like, him with the mock
Jesus
God.
Dude.
Yeah.
I was like, what is even happening? But then the Faith people come, and they take him, and they, like, beat the bananas out of him, and then make him do, like, the walk of shame naked.
Yep.
While everybody else beats him.
Yep.
And I'm like, you can't do that to people.
Which, remember the walk of shame. We'll get back to that later.
Which Cersei sees that, because he comes and complains. So
yeah.
she goes and talks to, like, the leader, the great, Salmon-Eye? What is he?
No,
Sparrow.
He's the High Sparrow.
And so
it kind of worked just because nobody remembered his name.
I know. I love the old lady. Coming to talk to him.
Whatever you are.
Whatever you are. Salamander, Sparrow, whatever. When she goes to talk to him, and she's completely like, yeah, I love a person who's evil like me, is basically what she's saying to this guy.
She's like, you and me are on the same page. Like, let's go.
Yes, let's be evil together. And she, like, puts him in charge. He's allowed to take men and let them be, like, faith keepers.
Yeah.
Basically bullies.
Yeah.
With a special symbol on their head.
It's like a mix between a pentagram and David's star.
Which you should not be mixing those things.
No, or the Star of David.
Listen, don't mix these things.
Don't mix Jewish religion with
evil religion.
With Satanism.
Yeah, let's
not do that.
So they and then they just go through the town and tear up anybody that they say is sinful according to the gods. And I'm like, what did I say? He's just a bully because who gave him the right to say?
I also love
it was bad, and why does he automatically get to judge all these people? Because then you found he could even judge the queens.
Yeah, kings and queens were not above the law of the lords.
He kept saying, "This is how it was before the Targaryens," and I'm like, well, maybe that's why the Mad King kind of got rid of that, because
that's what made him the Mad King. He probably saw that and snapped.
He's like, nah, that ain't right. I'm like, if he got rid of that, I'm all for that.
So here's the thing. Speaking of that, they are in works. I've heard that they are in works of making a spin-off show about that time. About the Targaryens, and I believe it's supposed to be about the role of the Mad King.
Oh, that could be fun.
That would be fun. I'm not 100% sure.
Because we only get to hear about him.
Yeah.
They don't even have flashbacks.
No.
They don't show anything about him. So we only get to hear about him through story.
Yeah. I believe, now, I haven't read any of the books. That's wrong. I read half of the first book, Game of Thrones. I believe he actually wrote a book about the Targaryens.
No, that'd be cool.
That would be something to look into, and maybe, and looking further into researching for this show that's coming up that I've heard about. So.
That would be cool.
Yeah.
That would be cool. Well, these faith healer people are just crazy. They tore up the brothel. They basically just killed people for being gay. They killed... Or prostitutes. They're just, beating people.
My favorite is they killed murderers.
Yeah, and I'm like, aren't you being a murderer?
Yeah, that's the same thing with the Crusades that I never understood. I'm like, so what makes your killing okay?
Any better than their killing?
Yeah,
I don't understand what's happening.
You're just going up and stabbing people.
Well, that's kind of what I was saying earlier with this man. Why is whatever he's doing okay?
Yeah.
Why does he get to be a bully and that's fine, and he gets to go tear up the town and stuff? Why? Because he wears no shoes and he's dirty all the time?
Oh, he gave his shoes to someone who needs them.
Is that why it's okay?
Yeah.
But see, Cersei put him in charge, which later on we find bites her in the behind.
Yeah.
We did have the successful marriage of Marjorie and Tommen.
Yep. And finally, she has consummated her marriage.
She is officially a queen.
Huh, finally.
Officially.
Took three kings.
This is the third king. But it finally happened for her. Way to go, Marjorie. He's only 14, but hey.
And he pretty much wanted her in bed
all the
time. So
she was that close to getting him to kick out his mom.
Yep.
I mean, that's about when mom decided that she needed those faith keepers or whatever.
And really, having the faith keepers was all about getting Marjorie and her
brother.
Her gay brother.
Because they did pick up her brother, and they kind of did this pre-trial thing for being gay, and then had a witness there, and they asked Marjorie, because they said, it doesn't matter that you're a queen. This is how we found out it doesn't matter you're a queen. We could still, you basically aren't a queen here.
Yeah.
You have no say.
There's a higher rule
here. And they had somebody come in and say, yep, he is gay because I've slept with him and she knows about it. And so basically everybody lied here. They put her in jail. They put her brother in jail. And you're like...
That's the last time we saw the brother, by the way. We haven't seen him in jail at all.
No.
So...
We haven't, actually.
No.
So we don't even know what happened to him.
Nope.
Apparently he's supposed to go on trial.
So they say.
Yeah.
But who knows? I mean, if their word is law...
Before Marjorie went to jail, she did run and get her grandma.
She did.
That sassy old lady.
Oh, I love her grandma.
She went in there all sassy to
the
Cersei, and she was just sassy to the High Sparrow, and she's just like, I am not having any of this. And she threatened to pull away all their support. High Garden support.
And they kept saying that was like idle threats, and I don't think that is.
I don't think she makes idle threats.
No.
I like when Cersei said, "Keep your veiled threats," and she's like, "What veil?" And I'm like, exactly.
Like,
she
that
made
was-
that was a straight look. This is what's gonna happen.
Yeah.
So that was a lot of just like this political stuff happening, and it was all over the fact that Cersei didn't want Marjorie around.
I know.
And
so
I'm like,
they kind of, she used that to get to Marjorie's brother.
Yeah.
And like to get both of them out.
And
like,
I'm
it
like,
was crazy.
You went a little overboard, lady. Like,
Yeah.
you overreact much.
Overactor.
But it did bite her in the butt.
It did.
Because when she goes in to like talk to the High Sparrow and be like,
we're doing good.
"Oh, we're doing good. I'm glad she's going to trial. I'm glad all this stuff." And he's like, "Yeah, but you're not out of the clear because people have been talking about you too."
Yep.
And brings in someone against her, and they put her in jail with the meanest nun in the world.
She could go up against Valak.
Oh my gosh.
From the nun.
She's so mean. She like kept whipping her with a spoon. She's like, "Confess." Flack.
My favorite part is she would fill the spoon with water first. She'd offer her the water and be like, "Confess." Like,
because she's like, "Are you thirsty? You have to confess to drink." And then she wouldn't say anything, and then she just like smack. Water everywhere.
Like,
And that's where you
that.
see Cersei at the most desperate point of her life, because she actually gets on the ground when the nun leaves and like is trying to drink water out of the dirt. And you looked at me and were like, "Don't you feel bad for her?" And I'm like, "Not really."
No. I said you almost feel bad for her. If
like,
it wasn't Cersei,
I would have felt bad
Yeah.
for somebody else. But I did not feel bad for her at all.
there's only two people in the show that I wouldn't have felt bad about, and it's her or her son, her dead son, Joffrey.
Yeah, they whacked him.
But like, I'm almost feel bad for her at this point.
Basically, they get to just sit in jail while Tom and Pout's in his room. Like, his wife is in jail, his mom disappeared and ended up in jail.
Oh, by the way, we haven't really seen him after she gets thrown in jail.
He's just locked. We hear he locked himself in his room.
Yeah.
He won't come out, won't see anyone, won't do anything. He's upset. So then we just spend a lot of time with Tyrion and a lot of time with Daenerys.
And actually quite a bit of time this season with Arya.
Yes, we do see Arya, and her storyline is getting a little confusing.
This is the point where it starts losing me, and this is kind of one of the reasons why I stopped watching with season 7, because I didn't, watch during that gap and then tried to pick that up and went, I have no idea what's happening.
She's like in training with the Faceless.
Yeah.
I think.
She is. I mean, that's what it is.
Like, she's like in training, but then it also seems like she's being fed a lot of drugs. Because, like, there's a lot of really trippy things happening.
It feels very like Manson.
But then, why is there a giant pool of poison water that they just feed people when they come in and they're sick?
Like I said, it feels very like fantasy Manson family.
But then, like, there's the room of all those faces. You called it the room of 1,000 faces. They like take all the dead people and like, put their faces.
It's the crypt
in
of
the
1,000
columns.
faces.
And then when like she has the dead guy, and she like keeps pulling off all the faces
until it comes to her face.
Yeah, and I'm like,
and then she goes blind, and that's the last we see. She's just in this room with all these faces and blind now.
But they did teach her enough on how to track, and how to disguise herself, and
how to be a convincing liar.
How to be a convincing liar, and then she took down this dude at the top of her list.
Yep.
In the most brutal fashion. She stabbed him in both his eyes. She done prison shaked him in his chest a million times. After gagging him. I think she shanked him in the neck. She shanked him in the belly. In the back.
And then it's all like, it's very like, you killed my father.
I know.
There's
a very Inigo Montoya moment, but she's like, I am Arya and you are nobody. And I'm like, oh my God. Like, I believe this girl is coming for me in my sleep.
So ever since Ned Stark was, I almost said crucified. He was not crucified. No. Ever since he was beheaded, you were saying she's gonna turn into this vengeful, like, assassin.
I said she would be she would be a strong, vengeful fighter, vengeful warrior.
So every time you say that, this is the scene that I think of, because this is like the most brutal you see her.
I don't even know that I could say anything during that whole scene. It was
No,
just like a.
I think at one point you were just like, what? It's brutal.
It gets you, like you're like,
and you're
so surprised.
Yeah, and you're already disgusted by the guy.
Oh, you're so disgusted because he's just like a little. He likes little girls. We gotta say not certain words.
Yeah, he likes. They kept bringing him prostitutes, and he kept saying too old.
They're too old, and then they brought him very young girls, which he was happy with.
But he was saying, have a fresh one tomorrow.
I know, and I'm like, ooh,
which is
what is
like,
he
what
doing?
are you doing? So then you see what he's doing
he's
in
like
this
whipping
scene.
them with like a horse whip.
It was like a switch, yeah. And then he gets to one girl. He had like 3 of them lined up.
She made no noise.
Yeah, so he has 3 of them lined up. Whips one, she screams. Goes to the next one, whips her, she screams. Goes to this third one, whips her, she makes no noise. So he whips her harder, makes no noise.
Whips her in the side, whips her in the head.
Breaks this whip on her.
She does nothing. She looks up at him.
And it's just this random chick. So he sends the 2 away.
But now that I'm thinking back about it, do you know whose face that was?
It was the girl who drank the...
She helped drink the water.
Yeah, it was. It was the little girl who drank the water. Yeah. Yeah, I love that. That's why I was saying, who is this girl? Because I was hoping you would
I was like,
say
I know it.
Yeah.
But it was... I think everything was just happening so fast that I couldn't,
she already died, so she was out of your brain by this point.
And it was happening so fast, and when she was like, and it began, and I was like, of course my brain went to, it's Arya, because it's the faceless thing, and it.
Well, first, before we go to her reveal, she looks up at him, he sends the 2 away, because he's like, I have my work cut out for me, and just slugs her in the gut.
He does.
Like, she falls over, like, is catching her breath. That's the first time she makes a noise.
It's disgusting.
It is so disgusting. Then she does this badass, like, final girl moment thing, where she pulls her hair back and, like, pulls her face off with it.
And
it's Arya.
And I'm like,
yes.
Oh no.
Yeah.
Bad things. And then bad things happened.
Yeah. She like leeches on him, stabs his eyes out, gags him.
It was shocking, but I can't say it was like a bad shocking. I was like, and then just at the end, I was like, I told you she was going to become that revenge killer.
Yeah.
I told you she was going to become that person.
She was very, I spit on your grave at that point.
She was so.
Yeah.
We got to see when Tyrion and Daenerys got together. I was very excited.
You were so excited.
I was so excited with it, even though he was a captor when they got together, and she thought about killing him. I was like, you're not. First of all, you're not going to kill him. He's a dwarf.
You were excited though, not only because those 2 met, but because
Jorah was back.
Jorah was back with her.
But then she kicked him out again, and I was like...
Tyrion saved his life, though, because she was going to kill him.
Because she said, I promised I would kill him if he ever came back.
And he said, well... like
He did his talking, like he does, you know, and he found a way to save his life, even though he was getting exiled again. Which just meant that he went to the slave owner. At this point, they're doing, like, the fighting games to the death, and he went back to the slave owner and said, I want to fight in front of the queen. Again, he'd already fought in front of the queen once.
The big game. It was, what do they call it? The grand games, yeah.
So, he gets accepted into that. I love the scene of Daenerys and Tyrion sitting at the table drinking wine, and he's like, so have you decided if you're going to behead me? And she's like, it's probably the safest option. And I'm like, yeah.
I love that.
And he's just like, yeah.
I think what made that scene better, though, is Dad was watching with us, and he goes, she's adopting him?
I know, that was, and I was like, wait, what? No one's adopting anybody.
But then I just had this image in my mind of Tyrion, What's their last name now?
Targaryen?
Tyrion Targaryen.
He's TT.
Tyrion Targaryen, son of the mother of dragons. Like, yes.
I'm no longer a Lannister. I'm a Targaryen.
Yeah, so.
But what ended up happening is she's like, it's better instead of beheading you as an enemy is to have you actually in my fold as my counsel.
Yeah.
And I'm like, keep your enemies close.
Friends close, but enemies closer.
But he's so smart. He's a good person to have as her counsel.
And also at this point, he's kind of like, he is on her side at this point.
Well, he is. I mean, he's already killed his father.
He's killed his father. He killed his love. He's pretty much...
He's abandoned the Lannister
and
everything.
If his face is seen in Westeros, he's dead.
Yeah.
Like, so he has no reason to betray
I
her.
mean, Cersei already sent out basically the dwarf killing patrol.
Yeah.
And they're basically killing all the dwarfs around Westeros. So, until they get it right. So, he's on her side. He's going to help her get to the throne. I want her at the throne. I said he'd be a great help to get her to the throne.
I mean,
and
handed the queen, right?
Yes, he should be handed the queen. We did meet, what are they called? The Sons of the Harpy?
Sons of the Harpy. They are nuts.
There's so many of them. Every time you think there's just a little bit, like more of them show up. And more and more and more. And they're just like trying to take over.
And they just feel like they come out of nowhere.
They do. Like, at
just, like,
the Grand Games or the Great Games or whatever, like you're watching the fight, right?
Yeah.
And you see Joram.
Grab a spear.
He's fighting, right? And he's like basically he's the last one. First of all, I gotta tell you, I had a little bit of anxiety thinking he was going to die when he was on his back.
Heart attack.
Oh, when I didn't see what happened?
So you went to pause it so we could remember his name.
That's right.
And
I reached over and all I heard was someone get stabbed and I was like, I can't look.
And there was only two of them left. There was the spearman and him, and you went to reach over and you just hear a stab, and I'm like, yes. I'm like, hell yeah, he won, and you're like, I can't look, who got stabbed?
You're like, no, he's fine.
He's fine.
Like, oh my god. I was so scared that he was hurt.
I know.
So, but he grabs a spear, he throws it, I'm like, oh my god, he about to like try and murder her future husband that she doesn't want to marry anyway. But he ended up killing one of the sons of the Harpy, and then as Daenerys looks around, like, all these gold mask people stand up from the crowd, and I'm like, they have been showing shots of the crowd this whole time. There ain't been a single gold mask in this crowd.
It's kind of like, not only that, but they're all going like this.
I know, like, they've been all sitting on the floor.
Yeah, like, they're
like,
all
no
just,
one
like,
noticed these
rising.
gold masked people sitting on the floor near them. And they all just like,
they all like rise.
What is happening?
Yeah.
And this is when Daenerys trusts him again. Because I said, climb up there and save your queen.
Your woman.
Save your woman. And guess what? He climbed up there and saved his woman. When he put his hand out and she was like, okay, and took it, I was like, yes.
Then we get the scariest shot.
The most
second scariest shot this season.
Anxiety-ridden moment.
They pretty much are surrounded. It's him, pretty dude that we can never remember the name of, that recasted.
In a minute, I have to tell you about another change that happened, though.
Yes, we love this change. So it's those two, Daenerys and...
Tyrion, Jorah, Daenerys.
Pretty boy, and...
The second son.
The second son.
What's her name?
And the chick, her right hand, who used to be a slave.
They're all down in the arena, being surrounded by the sons.
Like hundreds of sons of harpies.
And I am literally like breathing hard, having a heart attack.
You're
like,
panicking.
Oh my god! I said I'm starting to have anxiety because they're gonna kill. They're gonna.
Yes.
3 of my favorite people are about to die in one swoop.
And all I can keep saying is, it's funny you say swoop.
It is funny I say swoop.
I keep saying, this is the most badass shot.
And I'm
this
like,
is the most badass shot.
how is this badass?
And
then...
Daenerys closes her eyes just accepting her death. Like, she's
and
like,
I said,
we're done.
is she calling her dragon?
And as you say that, you hear this screech, which everyone panics and looks back. Because it's behind, like, they're all in a circle, but he's somehow behind everyone. Like, everybody turns around.
And all you see is this big fire, like, ball, like...
And here
then
comes
he flies
Drogon.
right through it.
Yes, in the coolest shot ever.
And he just comes out, he lands on a couple people, he's just biting people, slapping people around, setting people on fire.
It's so badass.
She walks up to him, he yells at her, then he's like, oh, I'm sorry, Mom.
He gets stabbed a couple times with spears.
I am so mad at all the people stabbing this dragon. I mean...
I know. Of all the animals that keep dying in this show that you're pissed off about, I'm just like, just don't kill a dragon.
Oh,
like,
they're stabbing the dragon. But then, the one thing I have been dying to have happen since those dragons hatched happened!
She hops on top of Drago.
And they fly
And
off!
fly off.
I almost did a happy dance.
You have been wanting someone to fly a dragon.
And I always said, it'll be him. It'll be that dragon. I'm so excited!
The only thing that could have been better is if she flew him into battle.
Exactly.
But they flew her out of battle.
He flew her out of battle, but she flew on the dragon!
You're so excited.
I'm still so excited about that. It was great.
So
great. They don't know where she is.
They have no idea where she is. We don't even know where she is.
No.
She's on some mountainside, surrounded by like hundreds of.
I don't know. I was like, are they Indians?
No,
Because they
well,
kept going, and I'm like, what is
on their horses.
happening?
They were. I think they were.
They had swords like the Second Sons.
No,
But
yeah, they very much reminded me of the where she started.
Dothraki?
The Dothraki. Because the one who came up
I know.
first,
I at first was like, oh, is this Dothraki? But they're not over there.
Well, when the first guy was like riding up to him and they don't show him fully, I really expected to be her dead husband. To be Khal Drogo.
That would be weird.
And I was like...
By the way, did you know Jorhan killed Khal Drogo?
Oh yeah, not even Jorhan knew that. I love his face when he's being
when he
told
heard that
and heard
story
that
about
story.
himself, he's like,
well, I did?
I didn't know I did that.
I'm
could
impressive.
swear he died of witch magic, but okay.
So yeah, every time I see the shot, I'm like, that's gonna be Khal Drogo. Like, she's gonna have like some freaking crazy ass vision.
And all I could say was, they sent hundreds of horsemen for one girl on a hillside.
Yeah, we don't know who these people are. It's similar. They are like Dothraki adjacent.
Yeah. She tried not to. She tried not to be royal. She took off her ring, dropped that before they could see it. She tried not to be like royal or of importance or something. That's my guess of it.
Yeah.
So we'll see where that goes. The city is left in the hands of what I said is the most interesting city rulers, because as they're putting out a hunting party to go get her, it's being left in the hands of a foreign dwarf, a eunuch.
No.
Well, the eunuch comes in later, so it's the foreign dwarf, the foreign former slave girl, and Unsullied. And then later on, we add the eunuch into that as
the
well.
The spider comes in, we get the eunuch comes in, and the dwarf is just like, hey, you're gonna help me out now. It's like, yeah, it is. You pointed that out, and I was like, that is a weird crew.
I'm like, this is the weirdest crew to run a whole city for a queen. Like,
this is like the Breakfast Club of city
talk
council.
Talk about ragtag teens.
I know.
We did see a little bit more of Ramsay Stark. He is a horrible person.
Yeah, he did unwanted things to his new wife.
Yes. He married Sansa, and that was horrible. Someday I will get it right.
Yeah.
However, I want to give a kill of the season to Theon Greyjoy.
Yes.
Theon Greyjoy gets kill of the season because he done took that horrible woman who was going to shoot Sansa with an arrow and just said, whoops, right off the castle wall. And she did a little squeak when she hit. She splat. I was like,
yes.
Well, there you go. See,
yep.
Just because they did a snap doesn't mean you don't have any to take care of business.
Yep. That is true. Who knows, though? They could have left them.
I don't think they left anything.
You don't think they left anything?
No.
Okay.
Brienne got, I told you, Brienne would kill Stannis.
Yep.
And she did. I think she did. I don't know. They cut away
They did
to
the
Ramsay. She's like,
season,
hi! And then they cut away to Ramsay. I'm like, well, I guess she killed him.
No, it's her, like, about to connect, and then it's cuts, like,
to
hard
Ramsay,
cut.
Pulling out of a person. Like,
yeah, it's a hard cut to, like, Ramsay yanking his sword out of someone he just cut.
Okay. But Brienne, I'm just loving, because she's just so insistent, so she's just waiting for the candle in the window to go save Sansa. Good
that was
golly.
closer.
I know. But when the candle goes in the window, she finds out that Stannis is there, so she leaves and doesn't even see the candle.
I know, you're like, you just need one candle! And as the second she turns around to go take care of Stannis, the candle lights.
No!
And the candle, in case you don't remember, or haven't watched and are just, aren't going to watch and just watching our stuff.
It meant that there was friends in the north and she needed help.
She was the friends in the north.
Right.
Remember.
But
So
she didn't know that. She didn't know who it meant.
Well, no. So we're talking about Brienne right now, though.
Oh,
so
yeah.
Brienne
was the
looking
friend in the north.
Yeah. Brienne is looking for this candle in a specific window of a tower that Sansa was supposed to go to and light a candle if she needed help.
Right.
So
the only thing Sansa knows is I have a friend in the north who will help me if I need it, and I have to put this candle here.
And you were insistent the entire time. She's just gonna go in anyways.
I know. I just figured she's gonna get tired of waiting for that candle. She's just gonna go do it. And I'm waiting for Brienne to meet Ramsay.
Yeah.
Yeah. I want Brienne to meet Ramsay.
So do you think she's the one who deserves to kill Ramsay?
I don't know who deserves. Theon probably actually deserves it.
Yeah.
But the person strong enough is gonna be Brienne.
Yeah.
But, maybe Podrick will trip and make it happen. I don't know.
Podrick will trip and his sword will happen to go through him.
He accidentally ran his horse into the river, which helped Brienne kill some people. But
I just gotta say, I love Podrick.
I am totally in love with Podrick. He's so great.
He's the most innocent, bumbling idiot who's the only thing he's good at is somehow sex.
Apparently. From what we hear.
From what we hear. He's only done it once, but it was so amazing, apparently.
He caught a rabbit on fire.
He caught a rabbit on fire when trying to cook it.
I love him so much.
He's adorable. He is baby.
Okay, the other things that we saw. What, Sam got some finally?
Sam got some finally. Hell yeah. My boy Sam.
Stud. After
he got beat like half to death, she was like, "Thank you for saving me.
Here, let me reward you."
Let me reward you. So, little after that though, we cut to John and you keep calling him Buddy Murphy.
Well, that was something I was gonna come to. Was another thing that we saw a lot of was the Night's Watch and the Wildlings.
Yes.
That was a big thing.
So we see John take a few Night Watch with the Wildlings, go beyond the wall to collect like the 100,000 troops.
Basically, what he wants to do is he wants to give the Wildlings safe passage to the south, give them land in the south, and in exchange, they will fight with him when the White Walkers come, and they will protect the wall with him. Because John has now become, what do they call him, the Lord Master?
The Lord Commander.
Lord Commander of the Night Watch. He was voted in.
Yeah.
And
thank you, Sam.
Thank you, Sam, for voting or nominating him, and thank you to Targaryen for giving the final vote.
Yeah.
So that was great.
Oh, poor Targaryen.
He passed, but it was time.
It was time. It was also a very sweet death.
It was a sweet death, and he was only thinking about his brother.
Yeah.
Which made you know he loved his brother very much.
His brother, the Mad King,
Yeah.
which apparently we learned he went mad later in life.
Yes.
Because growing up, like...
Apparently he was very happy.
He was a very happy kid, so...
But John forms an alliance with who I call Buddy Murphy. And they decide, okay, let's go. We'll talk to the elders of the wildlings. We'll see if we can get this together. Mm-hmm. They do get a lot of the wildlings on board, but unfortunately a lot of them are still like, no, because this is a crow. We don't fight with you. Like, that's not happening. But then the worst storm of the century appears.
Oh, before that, though, you finally see the 100,000...
Finally, yes, because we saw the wildling camp, really the wildling home.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, that's where all those people are. He kept saying we have 100,000 people, and I'm like,
where?
100,000 people?
Where?
Don't have 100,000 people.
No, they didn't. He never said 100,000 warriors.
Yeah, and then they like have this like sky shot coming down, and I'm like,
it's so many people.
Oh my gosh, look at all these people. That was kind of beautiful though, because it's a big community.
Yeah. And they're all happy living together.
They're doing their thing, but they're running out of things to hunt. It's becoming a bad place, for them to survive.
So John is giving them this option of, we have fresh land, you can farm, you can make a good life for yourself.
We just need your help.
As long as we have your blade when the time comes.
And then the worst storm ever appears.
They cut people up. Like, they're like, you're not coming through our gates now. Like, they shut the gates on people.
It looked like it was a big, like, snowstorm. And I kept going back and forth, like, is that White Walkers or is it a storm? Is it White Walkers? Is it a storm? Do they bring a storm?
To me, well, and that's when I pointed out to you, remember, every time you see a White Walkers...
It always seems stormy.
It's stormy. It's dreary. It's dark.
But they did. Eventually, they were like, shut the gates, and all the people who were waiting on the outside.
They just start booking it to get into the gates before it's shut.
Looking at the boats, deciding if they're going, helping other people on. They get locked out.
Yeah.
With what ended up being White Walkers, tons of them. Thousands of them, and these White Walkers are just tearing people down, and. We get our first glimpse of like the
Night King.
Night King. He's up on the mountain just watching
with like his lieutenants almost. Yeah.
And I mean, it's an amazing battle between wildlings.
It's so well shot.
Little bit of Night Watch that are there, and the White Walkers. I mean, it's really great. I love the fact that the wildlings still have one giant, and he was just like flinging these.
Stomping on them.
He's like, you're so annoying.
This is, from what I've seen, of the 6 seasons that I've seen, this is one of my favorite scenes because I'm going to get kind of film nerdy right now, but the cinematography is so good. Like, from it does a really good job at zooming in and, like, spinning around really well and, like, just... doing close-ups and everything that makes you feel like very claustrophobic, like you have thousands of people running around you. They're in a panic.
They match the music to it very well too, to make you feel like you're there.
Yeah.
And they didn't overpower the sounds of the people with the music either. So you
got
to
a
really
mix.
Feel like you are there.
Yeah.
They give you the visualization. They give you the sound. They give you. I mean, it is very well done.
It's one of my absolute favorites. And this is what I keep saying is their battle scenes are absolutely amazing. It's one of my favorite shows as far as like cinematography goes.
I loved what I called like the boss battle between John
the lieutenant
and the lieutenant guy.
Yeah.
I mean, when he walked in that flaming building and the fire just dies down because he's that strong, and his weapon is just breaking axes, like metal axes and weapons,
shattering
them
glass.
And
by the way, I just want to point out his weapon is badass, and you could buy you could buy specifically it's the Night King's weapon, but it's this cool like almost Indian. It's like Indian adjacent spear. And
it's
so
very cool.
Yeah.
And him and John fighting each other was really, really cool.
And that's another great cinematography spot where it makes you feel like you're in this.
Oh yeah, when he hit John in the chest and he fell, and I almost wanted to go.
Yeah.
Because of the way they did it, and I wanted to do it at the same time that he did it when he rolled over and was like. I was like, I feel you. Like I can't breathe.
Yeah.
Because it was just so like it was like that.
This whole scene, by the way, this whole battle is a horror movie.
It
like
basically
it turns into a horror.
When the Night King decides he needs more warriors down there, they just all run from behind him and throw themselves off a cliff, and it's just like a waterfall of White Walkers. It's dead people. It's just like.
If I don't know which one came out first, this episode or World War Z, but they mimic each other perfectly.
It was much a World War Z kind of vibe. And I was just like, oh man, they're all just going to get up.
I know, because you're like, they didn't just kill themselves. Like,
I was like, they're all just going to get up.
That's the one
That's
time.
like when they're pulling on John, like, yeah, we got to go.
Yeah.
And John has the best sword against White Walkers, though.
Before the waterfall of White Walkers, the Whitefall, I guess, the Walkerfall?
The Walkerfall?
Yeah. We see that he pulls his sword, he finally is able to get up, grab his sword to fight this lieutenant.
One lucky swipe.
Yeah.
One lucky swipe.
The lieutenant goes to slice him with his blade shattering sword
and
blade,
it doesn't shatter his blade,
and it hits. They collide, and he's just like.
Both of them look surprised at each other. They're like, oh. So they have a nice little ting ting battle.
Yeah, and
one lucky swipe.
He gets one good swipe on this Lieutenant White Walker dude,
and
he turns into snowflakes.
Shatters into nothingness.
Yeah. It works.
And I was like, you don't have to have dragon glass.
You don't have to have dragon glass.
Valyrian steel.
His blade was Valyrian steel, so.
Brian of Tarth, we need you.
Brian of Tarth and one other. There's 3 blades, right? Because there's that Brian.
No, John says not enough.
there isn't enough. Yeah.
Not enough.
So we know of for a fact. We know about 3. We have
Jon Snow's. Brian of
Tarth, and the one that was given to Joffrey. So remember, there's one given to Joffrey and one given to Jaime, who hands his over to Brian, who then names it Oathbreaker, or Oathkeeper, which is one of the most badass sword names ever.
There might be a couple more, but we don't really know.
We don't know how much Valyrian steel is out there. We don't know how many blades are made. We know for a fact of 3.
But we do know a lady that has 3 really big fires that can take care of a lot of White Walkers.
Like I said last time you said this. It's 1 really big fire and 2 large fires.
1 giant fire and 2 pretty big fires.
Yeah, there's the fire, and then there's there's 2 fires.
She did sentence a man to death via dragon.
Yeah.
That was interesting.
That was scary. That's when you think she might snap.
I know.
She might become the Mad Queen, like her father.
So at the end of this battle, John basically has to run back to the boats. They gotta go. I said, you said, how's the giant gonna get there? I go, he's just gonna walk through the ocean.
And then he passes the boat. He passes the boat, and that's when I go, when your giant passes you, it's time to go. Because when your giant's like, nope, I'm out of here. I'm leaving. It's time to leave.
But then the Night King and John, they have a stare down.
The scariest scene in this
They're both
season.
I got your number.
It's intense.
And there's all these White Walkers, there's all these dead wildlings everywhere,
White Walkers. We've got a couple dead
White Walkers as well, but you just got them staring down each other, and I'm just thinking John's probably trying to strategize where the King's like, let me show you how powerful I am. And when he just goes like this, and all the dead people get up, and I'm like, oh,
in the scariest shots possible, where they do close-ups of these,
and their eyes just go, pink.
Yeah.
Oh, I think they make that sound like, I want my eyes to go pink, pink, pink.
Yes.
And John literally looks concerned.
Like, he looks defeated.
I know, he's very like, I don't even know how I'm going to tell my people this. And he really didn't know what to say.
No.
He tried explaining it when he got everybody back there. He did successfully get everyone back there that he had.
Well, everybody that was able to get on a
right,
ship.
that he had.
Yeah.
So he got them there, and he's trying to strategize, and he doesn't even know how to explain it. And I get it. Like, that's a tough thing.
Mm-hmm.
And before we go on past that, let's talk about what happened to Cersei.
Cersei fight. Yes, that's what I was gonna cut to, because naturally that's what the show did too.
Actually, it did.
It cuts to going back to Cersei, and we see more of her being kind of tortured to confess. She finally does.
She finally decides.
She confesses to sleeping with her cousin
outside of marriage.
Outside of marriage. Denies everything else.
Yeah, she said there's no incest. The children are not.
Well, outside of her cousin.
Well, incestual, they were talking about brother and sister. So she said, nope, that's not true. The children are Richard's children, all that stuff. Oh, one of her children was just killed, too. Her daughter was just poisoned to death.
So Jaime, early on this season...
Jaime and Bronn went to go get the daughter.
The daughter.
By the way, the Lannisters need to quit getting Bronn in trouble.
Yeah. I mean, he kind of has a fun time any time a Lannister comes around, but he also almost dies.
Every time.
And it's like, I'm just here with a woman. I just want to be happy, and a Lannister comes along.
Every time he thinks he's happy, here comes a Lannister.
Yeah.
But they try and bring home the daughter, and...
You meet Immortan Joe's wife.
And she gets poisoned because the widow of the Prince of Dorne,
who the mountain killed. We talked about that last episode.
She was angry, and her daughters were angry, and so they were going to take it out on the daughter.
Yeah.
And so they poisoned her.
Yeah.
And she's dead.
But
Cersei doesn't know that yet.
She doesn't.
Just like Jaime doesn't know Cersei is in jail.
What?
Well, we don't know that yet because we haven't said it.
So they kill her. They poison her in a very Poison Ivy way. Like, it's a very comic book.
I know. The widow kisses her, and she has the poison on her lips.
Yeah. It's a very comic book.
I know.
Like, villain
or
thing.
Or film noir kind of thing.
Yeah.
It's very like, oof.
Yeah, it's...
I mean, I did think it was weird. I was like, why are you kissing her so
long? Yeah. It's an awkward scene, but then you know why.
Yeah. So that was just there, because we didn't talk about Jaime and Bronn much, but there wasn't a whole lot that happened with them.
I mean, they had a cool fight with the badass chicks.
But
and then Bronn
almost died, but then they gave him the antidote. Yeah. But really, there wasn't a whole lot with
we saw the coolest jail ever that Jaime was in. It was just a hotel room. It was just a hotel room with bars on it.
So we've got Cersei, who's going to confess. Or she did confess.
She confessed. They say you have to, before you can go see your son again, you have to endure your atonement.
And she was like, what? My what?
Yeah. That's kind of what
That's what I said.
That's what everyone says.
Huh?
Like, what's your atonement? Like, and he specifically, he says it in a way that you're like, she's not going to make it. There's a possibility she's not going to make it.
I was like, are they going to whip her? Are, like, the cat of nine tails? Like, what is...
You have to endure your... Yeah.
Like, what's happening? So, like, they show the nuns, like, very viciously washing her. Like...
It's not nice.
It is not nice the way they're doing it. Like, it is the meanest sponge bath I have ever witnessed. And then they, like, chop off her hair with a straight razor, cutting her head in the process.
Oh, before this episode starts, you notice that there was nudity in this episode specifically?
Yeah.
Because, like, in every episode, it's like, it's rated this for these reasons.
Yeah.
And we've noticed half of them don't have nudity, which is weird because this is a very nude show.
Yeah.
There's nudity everywhere.
This one said nudity.
And that's when I said, oh, yeah. There is very explicit non-sexual nudity. This is where we see that.
Yeah, because they're just so vigorously washing her and cutting her hair. Like, she has no clothes on. Then they put, like, this dirty robe. And they said, now it's time for her atonement. And I'm like, wait, that wasn't the atonement? Like, that was just preparing her for the atonement.
Yeah.
So they stand her up in front of like all the people who are kind of the followers of the faith keepers.
I feel like it's not even the followers. It's
I
just
think
kind
it's
of like
townspeople.
the townsmen.
She keeps her eyes on the castle though. Like she keeps her eyes up there. That's the prize. That's what she wants.
That's
she
safety,
still has to go to
song.
trial. She knows that, but she gets to go home until the trial.
Yeah.
So they said she has to do the walk of atonement naked.
Yeah.
So they take off the robe. She has
they
to be.
They explain to everybody what her sins are, what she confessed, and that she, has denied the rest of them, and that this is her atonement.
Yep.
Like, yeah.
So the whole town is there, and she's got the faith keeper guys there to walk in front of her, kind of like guards.
2 in front, 2 behind her.
They've got the nun in the back with the bell going, shame, shame, and I kept thinking, I'm waiting for the lady to come out going, boo, boo, bow down to her, the Queen of Refuse,
the Queen of Filth.
Like, I am really mad that lady did not step in the crowd.
No, instead we get
the worst things. Like, so she's fully nude, walking from their sparrow house or whatever, the church or whatever, to the castle gates, the Red Keep.
Yeah.
And she has to pass through the crowd of people, and they're like throwing vegetables at her, they're throwing poop at her, they're throwing their pee buckets on her, they're spitting on her.
They're flashing her.
They are, like, but if the guys flashed her, then the faith keepers would like push them back and push them away. One lady like spit loogies on her, but then she got her nose broke.
No, that one wasn't the one who got her nose broke. She spit a loogie on her. They just shoved her back. This one chick charges at her.
Oh, was that it?
At Cersei.
There was so much happening.
There was so much.
But she was like getting pelted with all kinds of things.
This is another scene that cinematography is great because they keep that camera like at her.
And
so you feel her.
She does a really good job of keeping her head held high, really just very
staring at that castle
for most of the time. And then they like show she's getting some bloody spots, probably because she's getting hit with a lot of hard things. They're just calling her all kinds of names. The hard C was being thrown around. All different kinds of names. They're hitting her. They're just being mean to her. Then because of the hard ground that they had back then, her feet are getting cut open and they're just bleeding everywhere. She has a moment where she falls, and that's when she starts to crack.
She starts to crack, and you see what I kind of feel of, like, she's kind of almost losing consciousness, I feel like.
She's just
like,
not doing well.
If we saw a POV shot for her at that scene, that would have been the time where, like, things get fuzzy, and you kind of they do that ringing and everything gets muffled.
Yeah,
that's kind of what I feel like
having a moment for sure. But she gets up and she keeps doing her walk, and we were having this discussion. She brought it upon herself. She first of all, she put all those people in charge.
Yeah.
She let them run this kind of muck.
Yeah.
She's done a lot of bad stuff, so she kind of brought all of this stuff onto herself. But at the same time,
this is really hard to watch.
It's hard to watch because you do feel she's a human still.
Finally, you feel bad for Cersei
because she's a freaking. She's a human.
Yeah, it's taken 5 seasons, and everything bad that happens to her, you're like, you deserve that. And finally, it's something that, like, it's
so bad. You're like
so bad.
You're like, wow.
You don't wish this upon anyone.
You did bring this upon yourself, but I really kind of wish I could just cover you up and take you out of there.
And it's like that whole walk would have been 20 times better if she still had that robe on. Like, it's the fact that she was naked doing this that makes it so hard to watch, I think.
Well, when she gets to the gates of the Red Keep, I mean, she made it, and she
starts crying.
She completely broke down when she went through the gates. Her people covered her up.
With the creepiest dude covers her up, by the way.
And then they introduce her to the newest Knight's Guard, which is the revived Mountain.
The Mountain gets revived. He is final, like...
He's basically a science experiment, I think.
He is Frankenstein's monster.
You see, like, in his... He's got this gold helmet on that comes down like this, and you can only see, like, part of his eyes, and they're, like, blue. Like, dead, pale blue.
Yeah, they're like a dead person's
And I'm
eyes.
like... When he asked to keep that dwarf's head, that's not what's under there, is that?
I don't think so, because... Well, when you think about it, unless he really jacked up the mountain's face, the mountain's face didn't get messed up at all.
No, it was the poison here.
Yeah.
So, I don't know. We'll have to see. I hope there's a reveal. He did say he took a vow of silence. I'm thinking it's just he was mostly dead. Yeah. So he can't speak right now.
He took a vow of silence, a holy vow of silence until all of her enemies were killed.
Basically, this is her henchman.
Yeah.
He is for her.
He is Frankenstein's monster. I kept joking about that through the whole season because I
see him on a slab, like covered in under a blanket, and you're like,
and it's like this evil like scientist doctor
all
dude.
These candles and beaker-looking things all around, and you're like,
he's like experimenting
really weird.
on
He's
rats.
got like tubes going under the blanket.
So I'm joking about it, but I also know what happens to him in the end. So I'm like, this is Frankenstein's monster. He at one point under the sheet on the slab is like, and it kind of looks like he's being electrocuted.
And all the dude goes,
shh, not now.
I'm like, oh god.
So he like picks her up like it's his new bride.
Carries her off,
and carries her off.
Oh shit, Cersei is so powerful right now. Yeah. She doesn't feel powerful. She doesn't look powerful, but she is. She now has this.
Scary.
And it makes me glad that they have a giant.
Yeah, on the freemen. That's what I like to call them, the wildlings, but I call them what they call them because it's
freemen. Yeah. So, and now we have to go back to the wall.
To the end of the final scene of season 5.
Draven kept telling me.
So I was really mean about this one.
I was so excited for you to see the final scene of season 5.
I was excited because, and I've been excited pretty much since you said that you liked the show, because this scene hurts. It hurts so bad. And this is, yeah.
They are so, some of the Night's Watch is so mad, especially that one guy.
Yep.
That I just don't like. Ramsay Snow could play with him. Sorry, he's now Ramsay Bolton.
Yeah.
Could play with him.
Mm-hmm.
I hate that guy.
So.
But so foreshadowing, by the way, Jon sends Sam away, and I was like, I hope they get to reunite, because they would be really sad if the other one died.
Yep, and I specifically said, and then I had to backtrack, but I said, Sam's really going to break if Jon dies. And, if it was the other way around, I feel like Jon's just seen enough horror that it wouldn't shock him anymore, but, but I totally
and all I can do is go, I just hope they reunite.
I know. So, he sends, what I want to know is, where's Ghost at this point?
I don't know, because Ghost saved Sam.
Yeah.
And you would think Ghost would be at this particular moment.
Yeah.
Like, he would know that Jon was having a problem.
Unless he went with Sam.
I don't know.
Because he keeps being with Sam.
He is like, because Sam is like Jon by proxy, and Ghost has been helping him because Sam is the weaker one.
Yeah.
But they sent Ollie the kid in to say that a wildling has come in and said that he found, I thought he said your brother Bran, but then I thought he said Benjamin because he said he was the first lieutenant, so I was a little confused on who he said. That's how they get him outside.
They get him outside.
And he's so excited. He's like, what? I gotta talk to this guy. Yeah. Like, he's so excited. He has
a crowd of people. He's like, oh my god, this guy is just right there. Like.
And he walks through the crowd, and you just see the sign that says traitor, and I'm like, oh god, no, this is not a good thing.
So he turns around slowly and sees, like, his arch nemesis, and I'll take it on from here, sees his arch nemesis, essentially, of the Knight's Guard, and who just walks up and stabs him and says, for the watch.
For the night watch.
Or for the night. For the
night. I think he says for the night's watch.
For the night's watch. And stabs him in the gut and walks off, and someone else, one of the other guys that he's had beef with this whole time, stabs him and says, "For the watch," and another one, and another one, and one more, and then it comes to Ollie, who is this little kid who really shouldn't be at the Night's Watch, and John this entire time has been the kindest person to this kid. Really, like, he's been helping this kid grow, he's been helping him get stronger, but being kind to him and merciful to him this whole time. And you see Ollie struggling so hard, like, I want to help you because you were kind to me.
But also I'm mad because you brought the wildlings in who killed my family.
Yeah. And
oh my god, I'm gonna cry all over again.
He stabs him right in the heart, and as John's, like, life fades away, he's like, "For the watch," and walks away. I assume he starts crying when he turns around. You can't see that, because we see John fall, collapse, and we zoom in on him, and just pouring out blood.
Just his blood just trailing off away into the white snow, and I'm just like...
And this is where we end.
I know!
This is where the season ends. Yeah. It's hard to watch.
I loved Jon Snow.
I know you did. I know you did. It's a hard one. So to avoid getting too emotional, let's move on to post thoughts. What did you think of this season as a whole?
I think the season as a whole was set the princess on fire.
That was a one we skipped by. That's a hard
That's
scene.
a hard one to even talk about because she's just screaming for her daddy, and her dad knows her. That's his jewel. And
they cut to her dad at one point, and it just he's
disgusted with himself.
Yeah, but at the same time,
and then for him to lose the battle,
mm-hmm.
because this was supposed to be what gave him the victory.
Yeah.
It was supposed to be what the God of Light wanted.
Okay, so we ran out of memory on our camera, so we're going to finish the last little bit here on phone.
So our quick video was not so quick.
No. So yeah, the princess dies. Hard scene to watch. It's a little girl screaming as she's on fire.
And then her dad loses everything anyhow. So
which it was supposed to be that he gets the ultimate victory with this.
Which didn't happen.
So, well, shows that what goes around comes around. So
it was a bleak and dark season. It was very gut punching. But I did get some things I really, really wanted.
Yeah, you did.
A lot. So
and some things that you thought you wanted and turns out maybe not so much. A la Cersei.
Yeah, I wanted justice on her, but that was hard.
A lot.
And now I'm ready for season 6. I'm kind of hoping, first of all, I'm hoping they find Daenerys before those people do anything weird with her. I said she has really good way with words, and she's good with people, and so maybe she just gathers another freaking army.
Maybe. Who knows? We have no idea what's going on with that.
We don't know. But I am ready for her to march towards Westeros and start taking what's hers.
I'm excited also to see Greyjoy, Theon.
Oh my gosh. Well, the last we saw was he took Sansa's hand and they jumped off the castle wall.
Yep.
And I'm like, I hope they made it.
I
didn't hear an eek splat, so that's something.
Yeah. So, here's one thing that I wanted to ask when we were talking about Littlefinger.
Mm-hmm.
Thinking about this, he plays his hand in so much. Does he know that Bran and Rickon are still alive? Everyone thinks they're burned, except for Theon and...
Now Theon has told Sansa.
Theon, Sansa, and
Ramsay. I wouldn't be surprised if he knew they were alive, because he knows a lot of things. So I don't think either way I would be surprised. I don't think I'd be surprised if he didn't know, and I don't think I'd be surprised if he did know.
Okay.
So we'll find out.
Same with Spider. What do you think he knows? Does
Everything?
he know? Does he know that they're alive?
He knows everything.
Yeah, he does know everything.
All right.
All right. Time to go. Probably going to watch episode 1
we'll
of
see.
season 6. So just as a palate cleanser for the bleakness that we just finished with. So also my arm's getting tired. So.
Okay then.
What do you guys think of season 5 and the show so far? Who do you want to see on the throne as of season 5? Don't go any further.
Yeah.
And as always, what do you want us to cover after this?
Yes, give us some ideas in the comments below.
We need some ideas. I have another one that we're kind of toying with. I really want to do it. She's not a huge fan of the idea. I think we're going to do it anyways.
We'll see what happens.
But we need ideas after that. So give us some ideas, movies, shows, anything you want to see.
Okay.
All right. Until next time.
Bye, guys.
Bye.